Hey guys, in episode 228, published on Saturday, I referenced to this episode where I wanted to talk about, I would say, tips and recommendations for restaurants and hotels to adjust to the ongoing change in the drinks industry. And on Monday, the episode of Wine Pair was published talking about changing the wine lists and shorten them for restaurants and hotels. And I get the feeling, because this has happened several times in the last months, that VinePair either is reading the same newsletters or they might be a listener of this podcast, which I appreciate because VinePair is one of the fucking best wine podcasts on the planet. I'm a huge fan of Keith Beaver's Wine 101, and he dives into the topics quite nerdy like I do, so maybe this is the relation. I don't know. Well, recommendation. So, if you want to dive deeper, especially in the industry of the United States, the Wine Pair podcast is something for you. If you want to get more education on specific topics, the Wine 101 podcast with Keith Beavers is your wine podcast to go. And if you want to know what wineries, restaurants, and hotels can do to navigate through the crisis, this is your episode, and it is also your episode if you are a customer of those guys and you want to know what will be going on in 2025. Have fun. Welcome to the Pinot and Pixel podcast episode number 229. I want to start this episode with a listener's question. Alex asked me, how do I navigate in restaurants through their wine lists? I mean, he's somebody I would consider being at least medium involved. He's not the super geeky wine nerd like some people in my environment, or maybe, some people say that about me. Fine. But still, he said it is so tough to navigate. When I have the wine list in front of me, it's so overwhelming. Do you have any tips for me? And of course, there are many studies about that, around that topic, and they usually figure out that there are several factors that play a big role in that area. First of all, usually people look for names of brands, of regions they know, they recognize, and then say, oh, well, this sounds familiar, or I know this guy, and then they just order the bottle to be, let's say, on the safer side. It is more difficult when we talk about grape varieties, because just to give you a short diversion into wine law and wine regions in general in Central Europe, there is the, I would say, Romanian style, so Spain, Italy, France, the regions around the Mediterranean Sea, where the wine laws are based on regions, regional styles. So usually when you order a Chianti, you know what you're getting, and it's an identification of the region. It's a regional style. And it's the same in France and Spain when we talk about Rioja, about Pinot Noir from Burgundy, when we talk about Bordeaux, when we talk about, Provence Rosé. So many styles, and they really managed to install this, identity of a wine style. And then we have the Germanic system or approach, it's called like this, Germany and Austria, and they are following the approach of varieties, which is basically stupid, because when we talk about Riesling, which seems to be a big variety, a big thing in Germany, or Grüner Veltliner in Austria, everybody knows about them, but there is 150,000 different styles. So we should manage, and we are on a good way for that, to identify and to push regional styles like Mosel Riesling, like for the Pinot Noirs from Kaiserstuhl, or the Wachau Riesling or Veltliner, the Blaufränkisch from Burgenland, stuff like that, to give people a better orientation. So when you have a wine list in front of you and you know that you are a fan of a region, or at least you like the style, it's easier to navigate when you are in the Romanian area. And if we are talking about wines from Austria and Germany, it is still more difficult, but maybe you have an orientation for that. Or you just look for your favorite brands, because usually if you have a I don't know, well-trained or at least smart restaurant, they usually have also, they have the big names on the list. And in addition, normally in the better establishments, in the better venues, you have a sommelier or a sommelier in place. You can ask. So if you don't deal with the feeling that it is not good for your reputation when you ask someone else for help navigating through the wine menu, ask the people who work there, because normally they should be trained in a good way. There is a lack of training and knowledge that has been growing over the last years. I would say people have to be more educated, in my opinion, when working in the hospitality. The problem is the restaurants and hotels are happy when they find someone anyway. So training should be the next logical step. And then, of course, you have apps like Vivino. We were talking about Vivino in the last episode as well. You can even take photos of wine lists right now and get your recommendations, your reviews, and maybe even, depending on how many wines you have already reviewed, the correlation to your personal style. And then there is good old internet. If you don't have any clue of wine, just Google 3-4 names that, I don't know, pop up on the menu that you recognize or at least you're quite familiar with, and then just Google it. Or what you could do is just surprise, it's like guessing. This could also be a solution. A big factor that plays a role in that area, which was proven and brought out by many studies, is social expectancy or peer pressure. And I don't know if you have ever had this situation, but being the wine guy, so when the waiter or the waitress arrives and says, I have a wine menu, he is in charge, and they hand you the wine menu. It puts some pressure on your shoulders, unless you don't care like I do, but there is some pressure. And then choosing a wine for 6-7 people on the table who haven't chosen their food yet, and you don't even know what they're usually drinking, it is tough. And this is why always, if you have the possibility, ask the som if he or she is in place. And the general answer to the question, how can we make it easier for people to navigate through our huge and sometimes really crazy wine menus, is the same answer to the question, how can the wine industry, especially restaurants and hotels, deal with the wine crisis? So a decline in consumption and people are drinking less, and the peer groups are changing. There's fewer interest in wine rather than in spirits, for example, or cocktails. What can we do? And I would like to give you 3 different points, 3 main bullet points that play a big role, at least in 2025 and ongoing, for me personally. And I mean, reading through articles, there was a recent article in the New York Times talking about shorter wine lists. Wine Pair podcast was talking about it. The drinks business published some things, and the Pro Wine, what was it called? The forum that happened 2 weeks ago or so was also talking about what will be going on and what could be solutions in 2025 and ongoing. So it is, you can work with that. And I would like to start with the shorter wine list, or at least adjusting your wine list, because usually you get this book and you feel overwhelmed. And even if you are higher involved in wine, it can be scary to have a look on a wine menu with 300 to 500 wines on it. I mean, it even takes you 20 minutes to read all this stuff. And sometimes it's just, it's like in a tunnel. You just read and you don't get anything. And usually when you have an evening like that, you want to be with your peers. And you should not care about the wine list. So what my personal tip for this is, if you are on the customer side, usually I look up the wine list before I go to the place and do a kind of a pre-selection, and then in the evening I'm better prepared. But today we want to talk about shorter wine list. What is a shorter wine list? I mean, 3 wines? No. 300 wines? No. And for me, the solution lies in between. I would say 30 to 50 wines on a normal wine list is a good solution for both the nerds and the low-involved people. And I'm not talking about shrinking your wine cellar to 30 to 50 wines. No, you can have 20,000 bottles in your cellar, but maybe you have a monthly or a quarterly menu or topic or something where you change the wines. I mean, you can have the cash cows or the runner ups and stuff like that on the menu forever, but you should go with the trend. So I don't know. In winter, there's a bigger focus on rarities on red wines from Bordeaux, from Burgundy, from Napa Valley, stuff like that. And in spring, you go up with sparkling wine, maybe with the white wines. Summer is rosé time, and then going to the holiday season, put some more sparkling wine on the menu, stuff like that. But in addition, make it easier for the customer. And this is also the most important thing. It's the customer. And there are two problems. One is many restaurants, they actually don't know what their customers are. I mean, they have a feeling, but they don't know what they really want because they don't ask what they are looking for. And on the other side, you have the customer that sometimes might be disappointed, but he or she doesn't talk about it. They leave a review on Google or something. They say, well, was okay-ish or bad wine list, but what are you looking for, guys? So on the one side, customer, ask what you were looking for and maybe you didn't find on the list. And on the other side, restaurants, ask the people. Is there something you were looking for that wasn't on our menu? Because, I mean, our cellar is big and we have this shortened wine list. So there could be something interesting for you in the wine cellar. This could be an alternative. So the peer group is very important and you should be focused on them. And if you don't know them, what you can do is you have an image of your average customer, but don't forget to look at the trends, what is going on in the industry, because usually even in today's world after COVID and everything that is going on in the industry, it's so tough to keep your existing peer group. And it's even tougher to get new customers, to find new peer groups, to attract new customers. So you have to go with the trends. And I'm not talking about this shitty, super short-term stuff like Dubai chocolate and cocktails from Dubai chocolate. No, I'm talking about like the shift, the general shift in the drinking culture, focusing more on whites and sparkling wines and rare and alcohol-free stuff rather than still having the big reds and relying on them. Unless this is your niche. I mean, if you are a steak restaurant that is focused on Napa caps, this is fine. If you are a traditional Italian restaurant, your main focus should be Italy and not a vertical tasting of 250 Rieslings from the Mosel Valley. Okay? So it's a mix between going with the trend and still being authentic and matching your business model, basically. For me, the perfectly balanced wine list is a wine list where you can find something in all price ranges and in all quality levels. So think of it as a matrix where people can find the big brands, the big names, and no advertisement at all, just dropping names usually everybody knows. So Miraval, for example, Moët & Chandon Champagne, or the big one, Dom Pérignon, when we talk about premium brands and stuff, they are recognizable. People know the names. And depending on what country you're in, you can choose local or regional brands if you know that 90% of your customers are from the area. So the domestic focus can also be very interesting. And in a second, we will talk about my main topic number 2, my main point number 2, storytelling. But let me finish this. So all quality levels, all price levels, and more by the glass, guys. Maybe people just don't want to have a bottle for $150. But a glass for 30 if they are looking for something special. And how's that possible? I know it is a problem when you open a rare bottle and then it sits on the shelf for 2 weeks and then you can just pour it away. There is a system called corps à vin where you can just throw a needle through your cork, press a button, and then you can pour a glass and the cork is still sealed. So think about that. It's a really, really good investment. And you don't have to buy the huge system with a big tank in the back of your kitchen. You can start with the manual one and just test if people are interested in stuff like that. And I know restaurants that have switched their focus from selling bottles to selling a huge amount by the glass. There is restaurants in Munich and in Vienna that have, 150 wines by the glass because they have a corps à vin system. So think about that if you want to. And last but not least, my main thing, and I think this is maybe it's a domestic thing for Germany. I have never been in any other country drinking wine in restaurants where you have to pay a freaking crazy amount of money for your water. Tap water should be free. If somebody is asking for sparkling water, oh, fine. Give him his or her bottle of sparkling water for 7.50. I don't care. But I think that people would be more interested in drinking wine, maybe one more glass or maybe one more bottle if you share with 2 or 3 people, if their water would be for free. But today you have to calculate 7 to 10 euro for a bottle of water. And especially in a country like Germany, one of the few countries in the world where you can just drink a crazy amount of tap water every single time, because we have the best drinking water in Europe, I would say. There's no chloride in it. It's just tasty, and usually it's soft. I mean, there is this discussion with chalky water and stuff, but generally you can drink it without being ill the next day. And it's even tasty. And I have done some tastings in England, in France, in the United States, and sometimes you have this taste of chloride, and it's okay, but still, it's free for coffee, for wine tastings. And so, to bring this on point, serve free tap water and see your wine sales go up again. My second point is storytelling. Storytelling is not only important for wineries and brands if they want to sell their product, because it gives you this personal feeling for the brand. Personal branding is more and more important in today's world. No, it also opens up possibilities in marketing, in sales, in place, after sales experience and stuff like that. So storytelling will be a big focus, not only for those brands, also for restaurants and hotels. And who is in charge of storytelling? Waiters, sommeliers, almost everybody who's in touch with the customer. And when we talk about wine, when we talk about drinks, the bartenders, they can offer stories. And when we talk about stories, so many studies are currently showing that when we talk about storytelling, we don't talk about nerdy technical information anymore. People are less and less attracted by stuff like that. No, we talk about emotional stories, historical stories, something you can relate with. This is working pretty well. So the next time you serve your, Grüne Veltliner traditional method sparkling wine from somewhere, just tell the story of the people, of the brand, and not that it has been on the lease for 36 months and the autolysis is kicking the freaking ass out of the yeast. I mean, if you have a nerd and they are asking for it, please do so. But usually it's more about the emotion, about the connection. And there has been this shift through COVID and through many other factors from being interested in learning, being educated about wine, learning in wine, to getting those stories. Yeah, we just want to have short technical information, but we want to have the time with our peers, for our peers. So these in real life experiences are getting more important for customers. And this is what I also see with clients, that there is a shift from people being interested in the wine basics and wine courses to wine and dines or social gatherings with other people, where you basically, the sommelier is talking 20 to 30 minutes and the rest is just interaction with each other or maybe playing games and stuff. And the focus always is on drink less but better. I'm not talking about binge drinking. There are companies that offer things like that, especially in the bigger cities in Central Europe, but I'm talking about drinking less but better in an environment where you just have a great time with the people around you. Looking at the summary of the Pro Wine talk of last week, Master Berardino said technical information is getting less and less important. No medals and scores. This is what the survey brought out. People are less interested in medals and scores. I mean, it's still working as an orientation in supermarkets, but if you're talking about drinking less but better, don't buy stuff in the supermarket, guys, okay? Do me a favor. Go to special retailers, to wine shops that know what they're doing. And in addition, when we talk about emotions, about stories, the people have to be trained in a better way. And usually sommeliers, they get a lot of information through their studies. But when we talk about waiters or people just being in charge of the wines in a restaurant that are not official sommeliers because of the staff shortage, they have to be trained by someone else. So in my opinion, it's a really good investment to just bring someone in, a sommelier or a consultant, for 3, 4, 5 hours service with the guests, talking about wines and not talking about technical information, but more like how to catch customers' attention and how to make people stay longer, drink more, and coming back. These are the 3 most important factors. And in my opinion, we have to train our staff better when it comes to the 3 points. And talking about 3 points, one is left. The third, and probably one of the most important one for the drinks industry in 2025, is premiumization. And when I talk about premiumization, I don't mean that restaurants and hotels have to put all those crazy expensive wines on the list. I know that there are strategies for having, I don't know, Romani Conti 1996 on the list for 50,000 quid, just to show that there is a wine like that. But usually people buy cheaper stuff. Once somebody told me, yeah, I have a Cheval Blanc on my list, 1990, and it was on the list for, I guess, 6 or 7,000 euro. And he says it's only on the list to show people that we can do wines like that, but I'm really afraid of someone asking for this bottle one day. So, okay, funny story, just as a side note, but generally when we talk about premiumization, I'm talking about, as I said, every quality and every price level. There are premium products in every price and in every quality level available, because premiumization doesn't mean it has to be the most expensive or the highest quality. Let's take alcohol-free products. When we talk about alcohol-free wine, the premium range in Central Europe is between 15 and 50 euro. And premium in restaurants means that every bottle that is more expensive than, I would say, 40 to 50 bucks is premium. And then there are other brands such as French Bloom or Senso Black Label that you can see on menus for 100, 150, 200 euro because they deserve it. But this is another premium. So premiumization means big brands. And I'm not only talking about product quality, I'm also talking about process quality. If you have a brand that is known for good quality and suiting 80% of people's palates, and sitting at a price point of, I don't know, 30 bucks, producing millions of bottles every single year, this is also kind of a quality. Because you feed 80% of the wine drinkers, they love your wines, everybody knows the brand, it stands for quality, even though the product in the bottle might not be super premium, or at least not considered as super premium. But in the end, you shouldn't care. If people are coming to your place and saying, give me that Miraval, or I'm a big fan of Mateusz Rosé. And when people think this is premium, well, you don't have to educate them. Just serve what they are looking for, or maybe give recommendations. There is no Mateusz or there's no Miraval on the list, but there is a product that is very, very similar. This is your job as a sommelier, as a waitress, or as a bartender. So in the end, it all comes down to, I would say, 5 main facts for everybody. You should be open to change something, to find new customers, and to keep your existing ones. Don't get frustrated, because sometimes it is frustrating. Ask people what they were looking for, what they didn't find. So just be curious, basically. Define KPIs, especially for your wine lists. And I don't know, if this wine doesn't sell at least this amount of in a year or so, take it from the list and choose another one. And last but not least, never forget the most important thing. The image of a brand is always built on trade, in restaurants and in hotels. I mean, you can invest a lot in marketing, in performance marketing. And I mean, seeing marketing costs grow, but seeing your sales grow works until a specific plateau. But this is not brand building. This is just, catching up with or getting some cash into the company. But when we talk about brand building, the most important place for you as a wine brand, as an alcohol-free brand, is a restaurant or a hotel. Keep that in mind. So to sum this up, yes, we are in a crisis. Yes, we can handle it. And yes, we can do it all together. Have fun with your next visit to your favorite restaurant, to your favorite hotel bar. Let me know what you think about the perfect length of a wine list in a restaurant. And we see each other on Saturday with the weekly update. Ciao, ciao.